That Terence Crawford is something else, I tell you. Excuse my voice, it's that time of year again. So, my voice goes in and out. Crawford is something else, I tell you. We know he likes to mix it up at times, but usually he will survey things for the first four or so rounds, collect data, that type thing, and then he goes to work. Well, in this fight against Kavaliauskas, he wanted to show Egidijus who the boss was, and we don't know why he elected to do it this way. Only Terence knows. There wasn't any trash talking before the fight, no bad blood. My guess is, despite Terence saying it doesn't bother him about not getting fights with premier guys, the answer is it does. And for as much as Terence doesn't like the media or care about what fanboys of fighters say, he does, in my opinion, read the stories and hear the chatter online. Those who make the rankings, there appears to be a conspiracy going on against two fighters, and who both happen to be in the top rank stable. My voice is. It seems like almost every poll outside of ESPN and a couple of others have moved Vasily Lomachenko and Terence Crawford down from numbers 1 and 2 in favor of moving a Saul Alvarez and a Naoya Inoue up. Guys, that's not how it works. I remember years ago, Roy Jones Jr. was number 1, pound for pound, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. was number 2. And no matter what Mayweather Jr. did or who he fought, he couldn't supplant or displace Jones Jr. as the number 1 guy. And rightfully so, until Jones Jr. lost. So, or unless Mayweather Jr. would have done something supernatural, which he didn't. So why are we changing the rules now? I'm not a big believer in pound for pound list and mythical matchups, but I try to answer questions about them when I can, if someone directs one to me. Strangely enough, maybe even a hypocrisy here, I submit a quarterly pound for pound list to roundbyroundboxing.com. And I do that because I was asked to by someone I'm cool with. So it's not something I sought out, in other words. And I understand Alvarez did some things, but let's be honest. I thought he lost to Golovkin twice, and possibly to Daniel Jacobs. Mind you, in terms of Jacobs, because not too many people thought he won, I watched the UK streams of DAZN not the UK, not the US stream where you're swayed by American announcers, as is our history over here. The UK, especially when there's no UK boxer, they tend to call it straight, and they thought Jacobs won. When you just look at a pure, I'm not talking about reputation and cash cow and all that. When you just look at, I'm scoring 3 minutes of each round, independent of what happens in the other 11 rounds, then they thought Jacobs won. I mean, they just called it down the line. And I don't think Crawford I don't think Crawford did anything on Saturday night to drop. Most polls that dropped him did it prior to Saturday night. I certainly don't think he should drop after Saturday night's performance. Here's something to ponder also. Ring Magazine, whose owner promotes Alvarez, their new number one. But that's not a conflict, right? Ring has Terence Crawford, the number 2 welterweight in the world, behind Errol Spence Jr., okay? They have Crawford, the number 2 welterweight, behind Errol Spence Jr., okay? The number 2 welterweight. But in the pound-for-pound rankings, they have Crawford at number 4 and Spence Jr. at number 6. Okay. And isn't the other guy you dropped, Lomachenko, potentially fighting for undisputed glory in his next fight? If the fight happens, and if he wins, won't he be the WBA, WBC, WBO, IBF, and ring champion? So that doesn't carry weight and keep him at number 1 or number 2, pound for pound? And if the fight happens in April, and if he wins, has those 5 belts, BA, BC, BO, BF, and ring, does he leap back over those who you moved above him? Come on, man. Back to Crawford. Man, that guy is something special. I'm telling you. You see guys like Andre Dirrell or Tyson Fury, they'll switch hit from time to time. But the Hunter, as he's known by some, and he certainly was on Saturday night, he can fight an entire match orthodox or fight an entire match southpaw. All 12 rounds. Either way. Doesn't matter. On Saturday, he was just stubborn. Even if the right thing to do at a certain point in the fight was to switch, he wasn't going to do it. And then once he did switch, he was stubborn about switching back. He wanted to send a message. He wasn't going to stop until he knocked Egidijus out. That was the message. And Egidijus just got caught in the middle of it. It wasn't about him. It was about the world over. Those who follow him, those who doubt him, and then those who are in his way on the so-called other side. He wanted to serve notice, and he did. Crawford got caught with a nice right hand in the second round, right on the money. Boom. And then he got caught again in the third, and it probably should have been ruled a knockdown. It probably should have been ruled a knockdown. And here's where I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes. And I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to go on an outburst. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm just going to vent a little bit. Let me be clear. I'm not speaking of anyone who watches my videos or leaves comments below them. I'm not talking about you, the loyal listeners, the faithful listeners. I'm not talking about you. I don't even know where to start here. I've been doing these videos for a couple of years. I just turned my heat on, so you may hear it in the background in a minute. I've been doing these videos for a couple of years, and all I ask my so-called friends, I don't really have a lot of friends, so I'll say associates, but when I say so-called friends, I really mean people I deal with, but the word friend is just too much. I don't have too many, so I'll use the term friends. All I ask my so-called friends to do over a 2, maybe 3-year period is to subscribe to this channel. If they don't watch the videos, then so be it. And I'm just talking about the people I know, the so-called friends or the associates I know who watch boxing and who talk boxing. And I can't get one of them to subscribe, let alone watch. Absolutely free to do. I don't care who you are as a journalist, when you write a story or make a prediction, do a video or interview a boxer, all you want is credit for being good at what you do. Just a little bit. So I'll see coworkers or so-called friends, and they'll hype me up around their friends and say, oh, he's the boxing guy. He knows this, he knows that. And then I'll see them by themselves, not around the group they hyped me up around. I'll see them after a fight weekend, and they'll always ask me, hey man, did you watch this channel? Or did you hear that channel? And I'll say yes or no, but then I'll ask them if they listen to my channel. And they'll say something like, nah, I didn't catch it. What did you say? And I just tell them, nothing, don't sweat it. You see, if you can't get your so-called friends or coworkers to subscribe and listen, then what value do you have? I mean, really, what value do you have? I went 3-0 last week, and while one of the fights went the way most thought it would, the other two were mysteries. However, the fight of the weekend, AJ versus Ruiz Jr., I called it on the money, and I pointed out 4 or 5 things that would happen, and they all happened. I go to work, and a guy asked me if I saw the fight. And I said, yes, of course I did. He asked me, did I hear what this other channel said prior to the fight? And I told him no. And he went on to say the show was like 2 or 3 hours long. And then he added, most of the guys had Ruiz Jr. So I'm like, well, did you listen to my prediction? No. But he said he thought Ruiz Jr. would win because of that other channel and all those so-called experts saying it. And so on that particular moment, for that particular situation, I had to explain to him. I said, some shows as well as some big-time writers, are on the payrolls. And let's say some promoters will get, or they're on payrolls, and then some promoters will give them endowments for favorable articles written to benefit them, or for YouTube channels to say certain things in their favor. We don't do that here. Not on this channel. And you think that gets them to listen? No. And excuse me, because I'm probably going to curse a little bit. Still going to not be that irate or I'm not going to oh boy, excuse me. I'm not going to I'm not going, it's not going to be an outburst. At least I don't think it is. But I'm kind of at the end of my rope. But this past weekend took the cake, though. First of all, before I go to this past weekend, and then with the Julian Williams-Jarrett Hurd thing, I'm telling everybody Hurd is tailor-made for this guy. No, I mean, none of these other channels are talking about it. Oh, Julian got stopped by Charlo and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, man. I mean, you can go back and just listen to at least 5 or 6 videos. I'm like, man, Julian. And then I got beat down so much that I'm like, all right, well, maybe Julian won't win. You understand? It's like, I can't get people to respect anything that I said at the time. So I'm like, well, okay. All right, well, maybe they'll rob Williams and give Hurd a decision if it's relatively close. When my gut was he gonna put it on Hurd. So this past weekend, it took the cake. I want you to go to my last video, if you care to. If you don't, I mean, don't worry. I'm used to it. If you go to the 22-minute, 14-second mark of the last video I did, the one titled Charlo versus Hogan and Joshua versus Ruiz Jr. recap, Crawford, Lopez versus Commey, that one, that video. Go to 22 minutes, 14 seconds and just listen for about 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. I said Crawford would get caught, which he did. Then he'd recover and win, which he did. Then lastly, I'd say people would say Crawford wasn't all that. And I go online yesterday /today, and read how Spence Jr. would have KO'd him and Porter and Danny Garcia might get him too. Exactly what happened. And I wouldn't be as mad as I am except for one thing. You find me one channel or one website that said Crawford would get caught in this fight. Find another channel. People were laughing at this opponent. But in not one, but 3 videos, I said Terence better be careful. Let's face it. He got hit with a hard right hand in the second and got dropped in the third with another. What other website said that he would get caught? What other video channel said that? All a guy wants is a little credit. And I'm not talking about my listeners, because when I'm off, you let me know. But when I'm on, you give me a little credit. A little, but credit nonetheless. But that's all every writer, every journalist, every videographer, anybody that makes predictions, that's all they want is just a little credit. Just for a so-called friend or a coworker to say, hey man, nice call. Not from you guys who listen, but from those guys. Just encouragement to keep a channel going. To put a smile on someone's face who actually does some research and says, I get a feeling such and such is going to happen just based on what I look at. I'm talking about those people I know, those who I see, those who gas me up as the boxing guy around their friends, those who keep asking me about, do I listen to other channels that know nothing about boxing, or who serve as shills for promoters. But will I go to work and have anyone comment about what I said the past 2 weeks? Fuck no. And I don't curse a lot, but this shit pisses me off, man. So the next time I'm hyped up at work or wherever as the guy who knows boxing, I'll just let whoever know, whoever they're hyping me up around, I'll let them know. I'll say, hey, man, I stopped watching boxing. Or maybe I'll say, nobody cares about my opinion, so I'm not going to share it now. And then I sent text messages to so-called friends telling them the same thing. Go to 22:14 of that video. Go to the other video before AJ and what I said then. And I sent it to him a few days ago, 2 days ago. and along with the Crawford thing. And you know what? Not one response. I told him, just go to this section of the video and listen for 30 seconds. Not one response. So the so-called friends, and I'm not talking about my man Silk Walls, Kevin Walls. I'm not talking about you, boss. But some of the other people know who they are. Not talking about my man Duke Olden either. But if you can't listen to 30 seconds of your boy's video, if you can't subscribe to his channel, what worth do I have? Now, multiply that over 2 years and about 500 videos. I can't get a damn so-called friend to text me to say they heard something I said in a video. Or they like an interview I did. I mean, I got old interviews on here with Evander Holyfield, with Gervonta Davis years before he got the tattoos on his neck and arms. And he was known as Gervonta Rambo Davis. You know, how many people from Baltimore, let alone the world, know about that? That he was called Rambo before Tank. And he's from Baltimore. That's why I use that city. I got Floyd Sr., Floyd Jr., Keith Thurman Jr. interviews on my timeline. I sent them to people I know years ago. No response. But then they'll ask me if I heard what the same boxing personality said on some other channel. Get the fuck out of my face. I'm not going to break people's arms who I know should be listening. And the next time they ask if I listen to this show or that show, I'll probably curse again to get my point across. Because usually I'll just say yes or no, or maybe, or I think so. Just to. But you can listen to my channel though, right? But you're down with me. For those who listen to this channel, maybe I'll still be active, or maybe I won't. But unlike some good shows that left about a year or so ago, my decision to continue or leave has nothing to do with YouTube ads or payouts. That's not why I got on here. Anyway, Crawford has some options if the premier fights don't happen. For them to play keep away instead of making the better and best fights is stomach turning. But that's Crawford's fault, right? Crawford has Amir Imam, who's fighting, I think, next week. He's down with Top Rank now. He's got Kell Brook, Yordenis Ugas, Sergey Lipinets, who are flex guys. I believe they can flex out and fight on different networks. Well, all guys can, but you know what I mean. Alexander Bisputin. Then you got guys like Juice Young, who beat Saddam Ali and is looking for a big fight. You got Josecito Lopez, Jamal James, who I think they'd probably flex, and Virgil Ortiz Jr., who they probably won't rush. But, man, that'd be something. And then from a weight class above at super welterweight or junior middleweight, you got Jaime Munguia, Jesse Vargas, Liam Smith, Sergio Garcia, Patrick Teixeira, Gary Spike O'Sullivan, who faces Munguia in January, and then a class below in super lightweight or junior welterweight. You have some very intriguing guys for Crawford in Josh Taylor, Jose Carlos Ramirez, who fights Victor Postal. I think is that in February? I think it's in February. Over there in China. You got Jose Carlos Ramirez, which is a fight I love. And he and Crawford are both top ranked. You got Regis Prograis. So they're good fights out there. So we'll see. And for those who say the way Crawford looked, he wouldn't beat those premier welterweights, I see it the total opposite. Crawford walked that guy down and sent a message to let you know he's a dog in there. I think the fighters themselves know what they saw in there. Not necessarily the fanboys. I'm more convinced now than before. I'm more convinced now he's the top dog in the class, for sure. We'll see. In the co-feature, what more can you say? Teofimo Lopez is a problem. A big problem. Fans are so fickle. I mean, I talked about how much of a problem he was from day one, and then he had his struggles in his last fight, and now everybody's like, but nobody's talking about that last fight now, are they? I'm still of the belief that if they fight next, Vasily Lomachenko will dog Teofimo. But you never know. And it's no shame there, as it could be a replay of a young Saul Alvarez losing to the experienced guy and then learning from it and getting better. The only difference there is it won't be a catch weight if it happens in April. Listen, the kid has a chance for a few reasons. If they put him in next with Vasily, if they fight in April, it'll be 8 months out of the ring for the 32-year-old Lomachenko. He'll be 32. Secondly, Lomachenko's body has been breaking down in fights. Like we saw a week ago with Matty Korobov, it's a sign of age and mileage and the wear and tear that go along with both. Also, this truly is not Loma's weight class. And he may have bitten off more than he can chew with these guys. He's smaller than all of them. And then on fight night, these guys, they really blow up. So he's been getting hit, and it's punches by much bigger men. I would say I don't. I would be shocked if Vasily Lomachenko went 5-0 in his next 5 fights. I think, and it's not who he fights. It's just who gets him when it's that particular night. Um, unless your name is Devin Haney, I don't think by fight 4 or 5 that I'm not sure he can beat Haney. Just the size and the youth and the athleticism. I just think Haney is going to be the guy at the class. And I don't know how long Haney's going to be able to make the weight. And we were just saying that about him at a previous weight, so we'll see. Another thing is Teofimo's going to have chances because Lomachenko, because he has very short arms, he fights inside a lot, and that'll be right where Teofimo wants him because Teofimo doesn't have. He's not the rangiest of guys either. So it'll be interesting strategy. Excuse me, goodness, on how he fights and fends off the young gun if they get together in April. The explosiveness of this kid is unreal. I mean, and I just got a note saying that Richard Commey is awake now, and I'm sure he wonders where that truck came from that hit him on Saturday night. If you ever watch the end of Rocky 3, and I mean the very end, both Balboa and Apollo Creed are in a ring, like a sparring type thing. And they both throw a punch at the same time. And that's exactly how Commey and Lopez was. Both threw big rights, and the shorter, quicker, and more compact Lopez's punch landed first. And it was a chin checker. In my video, I picked Lopez by knockout, but for some reason, just like in the same sentence, changed it and said the distance like a second later. Not sure why I did that, but my gut said Teofimo would survive a scare or two and then ice Commey. I thought he'd at least get through the first third of the fight to get it done. So I was wrong. I mean, this kid set New York on fire. And you ever see those fights back in the day on HBO, pay-per-view, Showtime, and that fight, one of two things happens. Either the fight before the main event just keeps going on and on, you're like dozing off, or you get some excitement like Lopez Commey, and then the main event is like boring. Well, it was neither in this case. Lopez set the tone, and then Crawford took the baton, and it was two very good outcomes. And so the fans can't say they didn't get their money's worth, who were there in the arena. And of course, it was on regular ESPN, baby, so no pay-per-view. And it's just a buzz on Monday because of those two fights. And then I don't know how Commey got up, to be honest, but eventually the kid came on and threw a flurry of punches, forcing the referee to jump in. Now, we've always said he's must-see TV, and if you didn't know, now you know. So we'll see if the unification comes next. Michael Conlan got his revenge over Vladimir Nikitin in the opener. I said this a couple of years ago. I said it recently, and I'm saying it today. I'm just not impressed with Conlan, and this fight didn't change that. He, in a way, chose to be stubborn like Crawford and fight Nikitin's fight, and he paid for it with a cut. And by taking some shots. He didn't have to. But the fight Saturday night seemed to be all about ego. Conlan's ego, Lopez's ego, and Crawford's ego. And it was almost as if Bob Arum said, the Bob Father, Bob Arum said, I'll give $500,000 to whoever has the the biggest knockout or most explosive victory or whatever, man. But they all came to the fight. It was just something in the air. Conlan needs to get back to work and keep trying to improve. I'm just not impressed with him. But maybe he'll win me over. But I don't see it. Anybody think Tyson Fury will pull out of his February rematch? Did you hear Timothy Bradley Jr. and Andre Ward kind of get into it before getting into it? Uh-oh. I meant to say Dre Ward, not Andre Ward. Sorry, Dre. Forgive me. They both disagreed on how Conlan should fight. And if you didn't pay attention, you might not have picked it up at first. So when something happened to Conlan, Bradley kind of muttered into the mic in agreement that he was right. Like, as if to say to Ward, see? And then something happened to support Ward's theory, and then he kind of mumbled something real low to kind of like affirm he was right. I was like, it was a bit childish by both guys, but funny at the same time. I thought they did okay overall. Timmy's tirade at the end was either loved or hated down the middle by the world over. He wants, and listen, probably unnecessary, but his heart is in the right place. He wants to see the best fight the best and get over this network malarkey that's going on. Good luck with that, Timmy. Going back to Tyson Fury, the reason, because people say, like, I'll say something and then it'll happen. Not to say this will happen. People are like, well, and when people do that, they never explain, like, why they say certain things. So I'm gonna say why. I think of about 4 reasons why Tyson Fury could pull out. I'm not saying he will, but if he does, I want the points on it from you guys, because none of my so-called friends are listening. First of all, Tyson Fury just 86'd his trainer. For those who don't know it, that's an old term. He axed him. He fired him. He relieved him of his duties. So he picked a fine time, like right before probably the 3rd biggest fight of your career. You fire your trainer. But I can see him pulling out for at least 4 reasons. First, to lose some weight. Secondly, since he fired his trainer, now he has to adapt to a new trainer. And realistically, it probably takes about 3 or 4 training camps. So you're just jumping right into the fire with thinking, hey, doesn't matter. Also, he could back out just to get his mind right after the WWE appearances and the movie negotiations with Sly Stallone, and maybe even getting a couple of party narcotics in his system and trying to get him out. And another reason is that cut, man. Just giving that major cut a few more months to heal. I think that cut opens up on the first big punch or clash of heads or the little veteran glove rub trick that happens. I mean, I don't think it's going to take much for a cut like that to just, if you get it right, I think it's going to open up. And best believe, if it opens up in this fight and it gets anywhere near as bad as it was, we're going to the scorecards, or it's going to be a TKO depending on how the ruling goes. And we know about, we need look no further than the scorecards of the first encounter to pretty much tell us how that would go. So, all right, on Monday, tonight, because I did this tonight, December 16th from Kazakhstan, there'll be an ESPN Plus card. Don't know what time it is. May have already happened. It's like, I don't know, 5, something like that. I don't know what time it is. On Thursday, December 19th from London, we got a card on DAZN. Check that out. Friday, December 20th, we got Daniel Jacobs versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. This is Jacobs' first. Well, this is Jacobs fighting at 168 pounds, and he has a new trainer also. Also on that card, Maurice Hooker, Liam Smith, Josh Kelly, and we're going to put Gabriel Rosado on standby. He's going to be on the card, but just in case Chavez Jr. can't fight for one reason or another, because he's got some stuff going on right now. Gabe Rosado, you asked for it. I think they cut you a check, and a bigger check, and I think you step in the ring as the main event if Jacobs agrees to it. That fight will be on DAZN Friday, December 20th. Saturday, December 21st from London is the return of Triple D. That's Triple D as in David, folks. Daniel Dubois. That'll be on DAZN also. And that's a nice matchup between Liam Williams and Alantez Fox. Will be on the undercard. I'm sorry, that card will be on ESPN Plus. My bad. Also on Fox will be Tony Superbad Harrison taking on Jermell Charlo in an anticipated rematch. Can't wait for that one. Guillermo Rigondeaux takes on Laborio Solis for a bogus WBA belt. Also, Ife Ajagba, Hugo Centeno Jr., and Andre Durrell will be on that undercard. On Monday, December 23rd, from Japan, Ryota Murata takes on Stephen Butler. That's on ESPN Plus. Also on that card will be the return of former pound-for-pound number 1, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Okay, Monday, December 23rd, ESPN Plus. On Saturday, December 28th, Gervonta used to be Rambo. Didn't know that, did you guys? Gervonta Davis takes on Yuriorkis Gamboa for a bogus, vacant WBA regular belt, whatever that means. And John Pascal versus Badu Jack for another bogus, vacant WBA regular belt, whatever that means. That's it, guys. Sorry I had to vent, but then again, I'm not sorry I did. So, I'll catch you when I catch you.